he really seeing things, or is he just having flashy memory things?
It's a hotel room, so who knows?
That's the one place I would not want to turn on a black light.
I'd rather just not know.
What up?
Hi. Welcome to Rotted Entertainment. So, this is an idea that I had about subjecting somebody that doesn't like horror movies to horror movies. And joining me here today is my good friend of over 10 years.
More than that.
More than 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one am I looking at?
You're going to be looking at the middle one or that one.
Okay. Carry on.
And joining me here is my good friend of more than 10 years, Adrian Henderson. Now, Adrian, you don't like horror movies.
I do not.
Okay.
I'm not looking forward to this.
So there's a little bit of a sinister, sadistic side of me that's made this possible, but at the same time, I really do believe in respecting people's boundaries. I've heard too many horror stories, if you'll pardon the expression, of people that subject their grandmas to Hereditary, and I just can't get behind that. So, with that in mind, knowing you like I do, I have arranged for a movie that I think will cater to your sensibilities because you don't like gore,
Nope.
okay? You don't like classic movies generally,
Sure.
okay? You don't like foreign films.
No.
All right. So I found you a modern movie that I'm not going to say it doesn't have gore, and I'm not going to say it's not scary. I'm going to put you on a bit of a thrill ride here.
Oh, exciting.
But I am going to be sensitive to your sensibilities. And we're going to see if we can kind of find a meeting of the mind here and you can maybe get a little glimmer of understanding what it is about horror that I love.
So what are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, what I'm hoping to accomplish is a furthering of our friendship, a greater understanding between the two of us.
So the bar's quite low.
It depends on how much you want to actually understand
You're
me.
just in this for the views, admit it. You got the quintessential Englishman just to pump up your views.
Well, what is there more to say? Other than the movie that I have selected for you is a modern film that's based on a Stephen King story,
Which one?
1408. Starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. This movie is a kind of a take on the haunted house, but tweaking it a little bit by setting it in a haunted hotel room. So, I think this one has some twists and some turns and some surprises, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of it.
Yeah, I'm not.
All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and watch 1408.
I feel like I should know him.
John Cusack? You don't know John Cusack?
I know the name.
Wow.
I'm sure I've seen his movies.
I'm sure. Okay, you'll recognize him.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike Enslin, checking in.
Honey? Mr. Enslin, we were afraid you weren't going to show.
You
probably want to hear all about our haunted history. Well, this staircase here, this is where the maid reputedly hung herself in 1860.
Nothing like a cozy bed and breakfast tourist trap.
Waiting on Daryl and his other brother Daryl.
Honestly, I love places like this. I would love to just travel the Northeast. So the author with a cigarette thing is kind of a recurring theme in some Stephen King novels like Misery.
But in any case, the eggs Benedict are delicious. On a shiver scale, I award the Weeping Beach Inn 6 skulls. Screw 'em, 5 skulls. You know, stay scared, right? Any question?
Where's the scariest place you've ever been?
Scariest place I've ever been? I've never heard that question before.
So you're saying there's no such thing as ghosts?
I'm saying I've never seen one, but they're awfully convenient for desperate hotels when the interstate moves away. Holy shit. What rock did you find that under?
eBay.
eBay. How much did it go for?
Well, there weren't many bidders.
Wow.
But it's an amazing book.
Oh.
So unique and inspirational and honest. Are you going to write another one like this one?
Nah, it's a different guy.
The relationship in the book with the father and the son, it's probably too personal, but it's so authentic and well constructed. And is it true?
No.
So we're getting the impression that Michael Enslin is a pretty hack author of just haunted places, but at one point actually wrote from the heart and had something to do with a father and son, or father and child. But yeah, he says not that guy anymore. So
Too traumatic.
too traumatic. Something happened. We're going to find out what.
You okay, buddy? Yeah, hi, I'm calling about room 1408.
That room is unavailable, sir.
I didn't tell you which date.
So up until this point, Mike has been getting postcards and so forth from hotels that are begging for him to show up, write about their bed and breakfast and so on. But this is obviously a different outlier.
Room's not available.
Room's not available.
Hey, did you take care of that thing?
Oh, you better believe I did, and I got our top lawyer here right now.
All right, Clay, what's up with the Dolphin?
He dug around and found you, are you sitting down? A federal civil rights law. If the room's not occupied, they have to give it to you.
Really?
Yeah. Now, look, the manager there's going to put up a stake, but he knows the drill.
Nothing you can't handle. I mean, it's New York. All that happened.
You really want to put yourself through that?
I'll be quick.
Are you going to call Lily?
No, I don't want to impose. In and out, nobody gets hurt.
Something happened in New York involving somebody named Lily.
He doesn't seem too enthusiastic about this haunted house business.
I mean, is it a passion or is it a paycheck?
Paycheck. Doesn't look that like your average rundown, haunted mansion, decrepit hotel.
No. No, it doesn't.
Welcome to the Dolphin, sir. Are you checking in?
Mike Enslin, one night.
Would you excuse me for a moment, sir?
Mr. Enslin, Gerald Olin, manager of the Dolphin. Could you please humor me by coming to my office for a more private conversation?
Sure.
Second set, 1939.
I appreciate the bribe, but I intend on staying in that room.
How long?
How long? My usual's overnight.
No one's ever lasted more than an hour.
Jesus, man. You ought to shave your eyebrows if you're going to try to sell that spook house bullshit.
Why are you mocking me when I am trying to help you?
No, you're playing a little game. You're going to give me the key, and I'm going to write my story, and your bookings are going to go up 50%.
But we operate at 90% capacity, always. And my concern here is not for the hotel. My concern here is not for you. I don't want you to check into 1408 because I don't want to clean up the mess. Well, grievously in its 95-year existence, the hotel has seen 7 jumpers, 5 hangings, 3 mutilations,
2 stranglings.
Did you discover the 22 natural deaths? Didn't find out about them because the newspapers don't print anything about them. All told, there have been 56 deaths.
56.
One, Mr. Grady Miller drowned in his chicken soup.
That's hard to do. How did he do that?
How indeed. I will let you have this. You can take notes, put it all in your book. My only condition is that you do not stay in that room.
So one of the things that I love about horror movies, and I think haunted house movies, which I do think this kind of fits in that category of, is the setup and the build-up. And I think that one of the things that 1408 as a film does is that setup just beautifully. I love this entire scene and how it just sets the stage. How Samuel L. Jackson seems to be doing, in all honesty, everything in his power to stop this from happening. And it just winds up being an unstoppable object meeting an immovable wall.
I think the unnatural death was quite the shock.
Yeah. But he's right. Newspapers generally don't print that. Certainly not as a sensationalist thing. It just winds up as an obituary 2 weeks later.
I think someone drowning in chicken soup is reportable, though. That would be newsworthy.
I'm still staying.
Damn it to hell!
I'm sorry.
So I can't talk you out of this.
I think we've reached an understanding.
Very well. Come with me.
He's quite menacing all into himself.
An actual key. That's a nice touch. It's antique-y.
We have magnetic cards also, but electronics don't seem to work in 1408. Hope you don't have a pacemaker.
General manager claims that the phantom in room interferes.
I have never used the word phantom.
Spirit, specter?
No, you misunderstand. But whatever's in 1408 is nothing like that.
Then what is it?
It's an evil fucking room.
And right there, one of my favorite lines in the entire thing. I think one of the things I love about haunted house movies is they have a kind of different take on the origin. So some of them, like Amityville, you might have a demonic portal or something possessing folks. But really, I think the best ones in my mind are just, following the Shirley Jackson and the 1963 Haunting movie. Some houses are just born bad. I like sometimes there's just no explanation other than it's an evil fucking room.
You realize I have no frame of reference or anything you just said.
I do understand that.
Other than the evil fucking room.
But you are as good a source as any as the target for my exposition. So.
I mean, it was a great line. I'll give you that, but
1408 gets a light turn once a month. I supervise the maids work in pairs. We treat the room as if it's a chamber filled with poison gas. A few years ago, a young maid from El Salvador found herself locked in the bathroom. She was only there for a few moments, but when we pulled her out, she'd taken a pair of scissors and gouged her eyes out. She was laughing hysterically. You're floored. Please, don't do this.
not excited about this.
So what do you think this room's going to be like?
Normal room.
Yeah?
Looks just like 1404.
That's a good point. They do a light turn down once
a month.
So in your mind, does black and white photo gore hit just as hard?
Reminds me of Schindler's List and Red Coat. So, yes, but I'd prefer black and white than color. See, this anticipation is not enjoyable.
It's not like a roller coaster? You're going up the hill with the tick, 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 tick?
Yeah.
No? Do you enjoy that sensation on roller coasters?
I do.
Oh, okay.
But not in the movie. Because I know what's coming in a roller coaster. Yeah, 1404.
Yeah, it's a nice room. I mean, aside from it being fucking evil.
This is it.
There's the first jump scare. There it is.
Round one goes to the hideous Mr. Olin for effective aggressiveness. I have to admit, he had me going.
Thought electronics didn't work.
Maybe they just don't work consistently. Maybe there's intermittent issues.
That's a psycho bathtub right there.
I love a good clawfoot tub. I think that was actually one of the big selling points for us buying this house, was the clawfoot tub upstairs.
Carpet's unremarkable, except for a stain beneath a thrift store painting of a schooner lost at sea. The work is done in the predictably dull fashion of Currier and Ives. Honking traffic below, the view of a
I still have never visited New York City.
What?
Yeah. Lived here 17 years. 6 hours away. Never actually been
5.
there. 5? Even worse.
Hello, this is Mike Enslin. Guess which room?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Are you ready to check out?
No. I need you to send somebody to fix my thermostat. Room's on fire.
Where do you have that in this bag?
You don't carry one?
That's bigger than this bag. Is he really seeing things, or is he just having flashy memory things?
It's a hotel room, so who knows?
That's the one place I would not want to turn on a black light.
I'd rather just not know.
Is it too hot or too cold?
What does it look like? Come on in. The box is right over here. It's stuck around 80. You just have to walk 6 or 7 feet.
I said I ain't going in. You know what happened in here?
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
Look, I'll talk you through it. Any jackass can fix that thing. Just tap the damn thing.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, sir, you're a genius. A gentleman and a scholar. Thank you. Let me give...
He just noped right the hell out of there.
Now it's going to get too cold. Okay, that's a little weird. That would freak me out.
Yeah, I don't mind admitting I would not do well in a horror movie.
I'd be unplugging the thing.
My cinematic knowledge would only go so far.
Yeah, but at what point do you sit and think this is just a setup for publicity? Like, they're rigging it in the movie, they could rig it in real life.
That's when it comes down to the impossible things happening.
Well,
Like
so
the
far,
absolutely impossible.
So far, nothing impossible has
Right.
happened.
Improbable, but possible.
Starting to add up a little bit.
A little bit. Like if this was planned,
They're doing a really good job.
there's some lawsuits coming.
You win. I'm checking out. I'm hurt.
I think he gave up a little quick. He's supposed to be an expert in this.
Well, I guess he reached his limit. He got a boo-boo on his hand.
Help! Help! You! Sir! Sir! Help! The Dolphin Hotel! Call the police! Help! Help!
That's a little eerie.
Now we're entering into truly impossible territory.
Oh, that's him.
Wait a minute. He gave me booze. He dosed me.
I mean, that's plausible. That's plausible.
Well, the water wasn't hallucinating. There's all this high-tech equipment.
That's true. It would be a really good opportunity to bust out the EMF meter.
Proton pack. How's the window keep getting closed?
That's the point you're stuck on.
Yeah. That's like the third time he goes to the window and it's either was closed, now it's open, then it's closed.
All right, what are our options?
I mean, at this point, the room can just do what it wants.
Something should happen. Ash is slipping full. I want it to be known that it was an accident.
I don't know. Even if it's an accident, kind of seems like the room would win.
It'd be creepy if you got in the window and it's the same room.
See? He can close his window.
With all the dramatic sound effects, maybe. Oh. Now it's just one room.
Mm-hmm.
No, doctors don't know everything. We can get another, we can look for other treatments. You hear about miracle cures.
Is that what the first book was about?
Well, one can assume.
Katie.
The room's getting colder.
Yeah, you called it. Although 40 degrees, that's t-shirt weather. Come on.
A little bizarre. I talk to you in here and suddenly you pop up in a box on my computer.
I'm sorry, Louis.
That's a realistic windows.
I'm at work, okay, so when you call me
He's
home.
using aim.
Start button and everything.
Yeah.
There's something trying to kill me right now. No, Louis!
You don't want to pause that and see what the screen said?
That's a good point.
I'd have been
I should
all
look
over
it up.
that. I've been all over that.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and show what that screen said now. Well, that was sure interesting, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Darn right.
I hate it when that happens.
Colonel Panic out the ass.
You really gonna show it?
I guess.
That's just not gonna help.
Well, apparently it did.
That would just make the water come out more.
Where's your way out? We're that way. We're that way.
I hate cockroaches. How does a thermostat work for a central air system like that?
How does it work?
How can you change just one room?
Oh, that's a good point.
Dad's gonna wake up. Told you.
Yep. Yep.
It's good to be back.
I wonder if this is what Samuel L. Jackson meant when he said he didn't want to clean up the mess.
I was gonna say, it's gonna get expensive every time you clean the room
I
up.
wonder if he put his card down on it.
I was just checking to see if the accommodations are exceeding your expectations.
You know goddamn well they are.
That's gonna be expensive.
They're really expensive.
Look, my drink. You win.
Bible never looked better.
Are there people where I'm going?
Hey, you're not going anywhere, kiddo. You're gonna stay right here with us.
Daddy. Everyone dies.
You know what I think. We should have done more!
We did everything we
No,
could.
we didn't. We should have helped her fight.
Oh my God.
Instead of filling her head full of these stories about heavens and the clouds and nirvana and all that.
We now know some of the backstory. What are your thoughts on, in the case of a dying child? Whether it's better to come to the point of acceptance and making them comfortable.
I think it depends on the situation. I mean, it didn't seem like she was on a deathbed at that point. So I think that might have been a little premature to come to acceptance.
Yeah.
But if they're laying there with a ventilator and the heart monitor's barely chirping, maybe move a little long down the road there. I thought that was someone's skin. Let's just grab that and pull that out of there.
Fax machines aren't that advanced yet.
No, just dress, it's not skin.
Right.
That's the worst part of this movie, fax machine. And the cockroaches. Yeah, it's very cold there now.
Yeah, it's a little less than 40.
Hey, the sprinkler's not going to go off.
Good point.
We're really into the improbable now.
Yeah, I don't think this could be planned by management. Kind of want those paintings.
That was a good touch. How would you write that one up in the book? Flooded? Drowned?
Time to call State Farm.
So all that was a near-death experience.
That was a pretty good explanation, right?
Sure, that's the end of the movie.
I mean, do you think you'll actually try to make an effort to go back to 1408?
I think he's done.
You think he's done?
I was in New York. I was trapped in New York. I was dying.
I love going through old microfiche stuff.
It's been a few years since I looked at one of those. So last time it wasn't a bridge?
No, last time it was the hotel room.
You sound happy. You're scaring me.
I wouldn't go that far, but I must say that the work is just pouring out of me. I think I've actually reinvented myself in the form of a kind of a fictional memoir, autobiography of a nightmare.
So, I mean, it sounds like he's turning stuff around, kind of shedding some of the cynicism that he used to have.
He's getting his life together, accepting reality of what happened.
Yeah. I wonder how common that would be for a near-death experience.
I think that's generally what happens. People have an experience and they think, let's not waste what time we really have left.
Yeah. It kind of highlights the finite nature of life.
Hey, got a package I need overnight. Is this the right form? I gotta get this to New York by tomorrow morning.
That's not going to buff out.
Daddy,
No.
I'm cold.
You're not Katie.
I love you, Daddy. Don't you love me anymore?
Of course I do, sweetheart. There we go. I got you. I got you now, okay? Oh, my God. I'm not going to let you go.
Do you love me, Daddy?
Of course I do. I love you more than anything in the world.
I wish we could stay together. You, me, and Mom.
We can. We can. We can. I got you right here. I got you right here, sweetie. Everything's fine. You can't speak her twice. No! No! You bastard!
So many roads to choose.
This is one of the moments in which, when Samuel L. Jackson said this is an evil fucking room, I think this scene right here really hammered that home for me. You had this opportunity when she walked through the door, went from "you're not her" to holding out his arms. And in any other horror movie, you'd get an opportunity for a jump scare, for him to hold her and have her turn into a creepy old woman or something like that, or a monster. But no, it has him embrace her and has her die again in his arms. And
Emotional heartstring.
It's such an evil thing. And I love it because, I mean, that's the thing is, to me, the best horror is, it's not cheap scares. It's drama or it's comedy. It's just intensified versions of those. And in this case, we're taking the tragedy of losing your child and using the supernatural element to really ramp that up to 11 with the emotion trying to be conveyed. And
so you enjoy the tragedy of watching your daughter die?
I enjoy the complexity of having art elicit emotion, which I think is really kind of the big purpose of art, is to make you feel something.
Oh, I'm feeling a lot of things.
So what do you think is going to happen when that timer reaches 0?
It's going to wake up again? I don't know. He woke up again.
Well, I mean, he didn't exactly go to sleep, but sure.
That was some fast maid service.
Why don't you just kill me?
Because all guests of this hotel enjoy free will, Mr. Enslin. You can choose to relive this hour over and over, or you can take advantage of our express checkout system.
Have the kitchen bring up some chicken soup.
I've lived the life of a selfish man, but I don't have to die that way. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me.
Go to hell!
Get out onto the street!
You're wasting your time. We're here to do the job. And we don't rattle.
The decor is in tatters, and the staff's surly. But on the shiver scale, I award the Dolphin 10 skulls.
Never kill more than you can eat.
I'm sorry to intrude at such a delicate time, but while we were cleaning up, we came across some of his belongings.
It's not how I want to remember him. Sure you understand.
Oh, yes, of course I understand. He did a great thing. He did not die in vain. Because of him, the room won't reopen.
All
It's
right.
been...
Okay, stop. Just give the lady some air.
Yes, of course.
When you first started this, you asked me what my goals were. And I know for a lot of people, their goal in something like this would be to try and convert the other person. But that's not what I was trying to do. Like I said, I was trying to just come up with a bridge of understanding.
What am I supposed to understand at this point?
A little bit more about why I love horror, why I run the channels that I do, and why my passions lie where they are.
Well, you're weird. I've stopped trying to figure you out a long time ago.
All right, what do you think? What did you think of the movie?
Honestly, it was boring.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I get that there's an underlying arc that he's trying to work through his life of his kid dying and all this stuff, but it was a guy in a room and things happened. I mean, I'm watching the movie and I'm sitting there, I was like, okay, something weird's going to happen, something else is going to happen, something weird's going to happen. And it was just a constant loop of me waiting for the next weird thing to happen. The whole time him trying to figure out his kid's dead.
Well, I mean, okay, if you wanted to apply a reductive statement, okay, Ben-Hur, there were chariots and then there were things happened.
But there wasn't really a plot line other than him working through the death of his kid. There was some really cool effects in there.
Okay.
There was some of the twists that they did were really good.
So within the plot line, typically within conflict, you have man versus nature, and man versus self. And I think in this movie we have man versus room.
Room and the flooding and the fire. But it's just, and then this is why I don't like these kind of movies, because I want to get into the movie, but I'm waiting on the next thing to make me jump. And so I can't relax. I can't just sit here. It's like even the funeral, the creepy burnt crisp jumping out of the back seat.
I will say that was probably the cheapest jump scare of the entire movie.
Yeah, and then but even then it's like I'm glad the credits are rolling, because now I know the movie's ending, unless it's a Marvel movie and it's something that happens after the credits. But it's just, that's not an enjoyable movie.
So the fact that it instills tension makes it not an enjoyable watch for you.
Unnecessarily unpredictable, cheap sensations.
I would argue that so much of this didn't, well, I mean, I think everybody's criteria is different, but for me, the scares in this, the last one notwithstanding, none of it was really cheap.
Okay, yeah, he goes and bangs on the picture frame and all of a sudden Noah's Ark's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nowhere in a, for lack of better terms, normal movie to where someone taps on a picture frame and all of a sudden they're underwater.
Right.
So it just doesn't, there's no continuity that makes sense.
So I think this is an interesting thing because I've discussed this before in videos about Oculus and about superhero movies in a multiverse.
I can't stand multiverse movies.
Right, and I've discussed the Duck Amuck, where if you're messing around with time and space, it becomes very tricky territory because everything can kind of seem like the writer can just make whatever they want happen. And for me, 1408 definitely walked that line, but for some reason, I thought it was done well enough that it never really bothered me in that sense. But it sounds like it did for you.
Yeah, the whole time you're like, is he going to wake up? Is he imagining this thing? Was he really drugged from the bottle? This is all so unrealistic. None of this can happen. It doesn't mean anything. It's all just weird shit happening. So what's the point in even paying attention to it all? Because something else weird's going to happen. I can't get into the movie because there's nothing for me to sink my teeth into, to follow, to absorb, to be immersed into, because I'm just waiting on weird shit to happen.
Okay, so the next time I wrangle you to be sitting on the couch here, you're saying that you would like to, me for the next pick to be something a little bit more grounded, something a little bit more based in, not necessarily reality, but something that you could sink your teeth into, that while you're trying to theorize that any one of those theories could hold water within the basis of reality.
Yeah, and I get that argument doesn't hold true when you watch science fiction. But even then, the more realistic, grounded science fiction, just for example, Doctor Who, when he's making his sonic screwdriver make up a force field, I lost it at that point. I'm just like, well, that's just stupid. I mean, all the other things he does with it is one thing, but that was beyond realism,
But then we take a movie like The Martian, which is very grounded in reality.
Absolutely,
and I think has
one of my
a little bit more
favorite
impact.
movies.
Yeah, so, okay, I see what you're saying.
So, and that's the thing is that I watch a movie to escape and to immerse myself in what's happening, to not be where I am, to forget about everything else. I can't immerse myself in that movie because it's just weird things happening that could not happen, would not happen, and then I'm sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for something to scare me. So I can't relax. I can't enjoy what's supposed to be happening because it's unrealistic.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, this is like I said, I wasn't trying to convert you. I fully expected that when this movie was over, we would still be walking two different paths.
Yeah, that is not. I did not. I enjoyed some of the special effects, some of the twists, if you will. Like the all of a sudden the room's flooding and now he's waking up from his surfboard. I thought that was a great transition into, oh, he was just dreaming, but then he wasn't.
Right.
So that there was some good special effects, for lack of better terms. So I could appreciate the technical aspect of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you have your scoring system. So from
no, I don't anymore.
Well, from technical twists, I give it a fairly good score. But as far as plot line, I was bored.
Okay. Well,
as far as him dealing with the death of his child, I could actually get into a movie where that happens without all of the unrealistic, horror stuff.
It's funny. I mentioned at the beginning that I can't get on board with people showing their grandmother Hereditary, but if we're wanting to talk about a movie about tragic loss of, that would be one that would be massively impactful. But don't worry, I'm not going to do that to you. It goes into territory that is way beyond your boundaries.
I mean, I've talked about this before. I watched one of my favorite miniseries I've ever watched was The Night Manager.
Right.
And talk about, grounded in realism.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little far-fetched, but as far as what could have happened, that all could have happened.
Which, by the way, if you've never checked it out, I recommend doing so. Tom Hiddleston, Hugh Laurie, great miniseries. I think it was put on by the BBC.
Are we done?
Sometimes I got to talk to the camera. This is the way this works.
So, but there was probably towards, I think it was 6 parts, so probably around maybe the 5th part. I was on the edge of my seat saying, my God, I can't handle this tension, this drama. I need this to end. And I almost didn't finish watching it because it was so dramatic that I couldn't enjoy it anymore. So that was probably, beyond what I would normally like to watch.
Okay.
And that's why I'm glad it was a mini-series. It's not like a reoccurring series where I'd watch it all the time. But I want to be able to relax in a movie. And I think that's even, we could discuss genres between dramatic and thriller and horror. There's even some thriller where it's not anything supernatural or weird or whatever that I don't enjoy because it's too intense.
Like Seven?
Yeah. Was that the head in the box at the end?
Yes.
Yeah. But just you know, like I said, I want to lose myself in a show and just, when the show ends, say, oh crap, an hour and a half, 2 hours gone by.
So
And
relaxation is a critical, integral part of your enjoyment of a film.
I think relaxation and to immerse myself into, you know, to forget about reality and just be with the movie.
All right. So, what movie would you recommend for Adrian based on this criteria? Minimal gore, no classics, no foreign films, and something that would be a horror film that would be entertaining and immersive. So, let's just say, let's avoid roller coaster type movies like 1408. So, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Go ahead and please leave comments below. So, thank you, Adrian, for joining me here today. Sorry it wasn't everything.
I'd like to say you're welcome, but I got what I expected.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day, and bye.
See ya.